those results is Nadine from Panviva. Thanks, Nadine.
Thanks, James. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, I am going to jump into customer experience, and I really like those questions that Anna had, because there is a lot of continuity between what I'm about to touch on in the next few slides. So let's dive into it. So we asked our recipients what was the most popular customer experience metric. We have just heard this in Anna's slide in relation to CSAT and NPS were the most useful KPI used within, most valuable KPI used within the contact centre. So we see the most popular here, CSAT, QA, NPS and FCR. But I want to pause for a minute. We put so much thought and energy in resources getting these numbers to look great. Yeah? A lot of them are. Let's think about CSAT. We ask your customers one question. And we base all this information based on one question to evolutionise the customer experience within your brand. One question. And that's if they answer the survey. Let's have a look at QA. Who's got QA automation? Raise your hands. Who are the ones with the big, deep pockets? Who's got the big cash checkbook? Is there no one in here doing QA automation? You guys are? AGA? Yeah? Connect Now's got deep pockets, everyone? Anyone else? So what we're doing is we're now saying you answer 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 calls per month, and we're going to cherry pick. Hopefully 8 interactions seems to be the norm. Around the States, we did have in WA someone doing 25 interactions. I thought, whoa, you must have a small contact centre. Another contact centre was doing 2 interactions. Again, based on that subjective scorecard, we are saying this is one of the most, this is our goal. This is where we understand where our customer experience sits, is we're cherry picking a handful of interactions. NPS score. Don't get me started with this one. How do your agents control NPS? If we think about NPS, what is the likelihood of you going to recommend my organisation? It's not the level of service. So if I call up Telstra and I'm on a $99 mobile plan and I go, oh, look, it's a bit rich, wouldn't mind paying $65, the agent can't then turn around and say, well, actually, I can offer you that and give you just mates rates. Right? That is outside of the agent's control what an NPS score is. But again, we monitor our agents and our customer experience based on this one question for those that actually answer that one question. First call resolution. If I ask table 4 what their first call resolution metric is and how they measure it, it'll be the number of interactions over, 7 days, might be 14 days over here, could be 21 days over here, could be 4 weeks over here. It's a very inconsistent measure, but it is within our top 4. So one of the things I'm wanting to highlight today is how we measure customer experience, universal within this industry, is a little flawed. But it is one of our most important things, and we put a lot of resources in fixing this. It was really nice to see employee experience being the next one. Hopefully we're starting to see that our frontline staff within the contact centre are extremely valuable, our most valuable assets for our business. And the more we invest in our frontline staff, we know happy employees means great customer experience, right? If you're happy doing your job, you're going to be delivering great customer experience. So really good to see that one coming up in the ranks. Then I'm just going to show you the rest of them. There's not too many outliers here, but one thing that I wanted to bring up is we've heard about customer friction, right? And customer effort score is one of those scores. Yes, it is a question, but it talks about the type of intent that you answered. Was the effort high or low? And then we can deep dive into where is the friction within this customer experience. I'm going to talk about 2 experiences. No doubt of a lie, happened last week. I'm not one to contact centres that often. I don't have many reasons to do so, right? One of the reasons I wanted to is because I got my invoice for my home and contents insurance letter, and it was an annual renewal. And I was like, I'm not rich. I can't afford this. I want to go on monthly payments. So I thought it was a really easy intent. changing from annual to monthly. I thought that was simple, right? From a customer friction point of view, this is going to be an easy task. So I thought, you know what, being an easy task, I'm going to go onto their website and use their chat bot. and I'm going to ask them to move. I actually thought I was speaking to a chat, but I was actually speaking to a human, which was probably the sign that this was not going to go well. The second step was they said to me, you have to reapply. And I was like, you know you've got to itemise all your individual items that you're insuring? I was like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, bye. I didn't get offered a CSAT. I didn't get offered, well, I'm not sure if I was in your 8 interactions and if you're even doing QA in your web chat channel. I didn't get offered an NPS score, and I definitely wasn't being resolved. So that poor experience will not be captured here, but they've lost my business, right? I've gone elsewhere. If I think about it, if we go back to the customer effort score, if someone just said, hey, how hard is it to move from annual and do that process mapping as to where the journeys are broken, it'll be really obvious to see what your customer experience is. Rather than these stats that we send out and these surveys that are completion, you'll see it in the reports, they're very low completion rates as well, and we're hanging our hats on all of these results. Make sense? Let's really think about and be real and think, you know what, let's follow the journey ourselves to see what our customer experience really is, rather than glossing over it. Don't get me started on greater service. So, Anna, you touched on 80-30, right? That is one point in time. If you said to your customers, hey, I answered you in 15 seconds, hit the nail on the head, they're going to be basing that experience not on how fast they will receive the call, right? There's many factors that we're taking in. So we've got to get a bit real in this industry. All right, so for those that do measure CSAT and NPS and the like, let's have a look at these satisfaction scores. So 2022, we've gone from 75, we went to 74, 76. Last year, we didn't ask this in the survey. So based on your customer experience and based on your industry experience within your organisation, do you think we have improved our customer experience? We've got AI now. Who thinks we have improved? One? Don't be shy. Who thinks that we have declined? Everyone put your hands up. All right, so the consensus is we think we've declined. No, we haven't, because we measure this based on one question, right? So this is the whole point. Are these stats really telling us exactly what's happening in the organisation that you're working in? If we have a look at the bottom, the top 20% was 93, the bottom 20% was 74, and the rest sat in the middle. So let's move on to the focus areas to improve CX. There's no surprise here of process optimization. So when Daniel was up here talking about AI automation, a lot of it was about process automation. There was 36% of AI being brought into organisations for that purpose. If we think about process optimization as well, a lot of the AI is optimizing a lot of those processes within your organisation. So no surprises here, and we understand there is lots of crunch in doing more with less, and a lot of that is coming into the optimization side. Great thing to see, employee engagement seems to be the next one. So there seems to be a correlation between the employee experience survey that we saw on the previous slide and the correlation to where the focus areas are. Are you guys finding in your organisations you're starting to put a bit more focus on your employee experience and doing more surveys? Can I see some head nods or head shakes? Doing some more? Yeah, great. All right, so what is the data that is used to understand our CX pain points? I've got no idea who this lady is. Is this from a show? Okay, no. James has gone cray-cray with gifts, and we all get excited as to what ones we've got. All right, so going along, having a look at proactive and reactive. Look at the top stance and what we're looking at with what we've got to do with our pain points. Complaints, CSAT surveys, or I've already spoken about that, customer interaction data. All of this is very reactive. The problem has already occurred, yeah? So let's get on the proactive foot, and let's have a look at how we can address this in a proactive way. So if you look at customer research interviews, focus groups, we are seeing that some of our organisations are starting to do this now. Are you guys starting to touch base with your customers more so? It does cost money, it does cost time. But asking them one question, following up additional questions, and having additional questions after that, you're going to get a lot more out of it than asking them one question on a survey and saying that you tick the box. Okay, so if we have a look at the organisations understood, what were they thinking? Did it actually drive the behaviour that they were expecting to do? So 39% understood and felt that they were driving the actionable outcomes that they were looking for. So 39%. So those CSAT, the NPS, were actually driving exactly the outcome. This is a really concerning stat. 24%, they are understood but do not drive change. So you understand that we're collecting CSAT, we're collecting NPS, we're doing our QA, we're doing our FCR, well, we understand that, but are they actually giving you insightful information to help you drive? 24% are saying no. More concerning is 33% say they are not understood and therefore do not drive change. So my point is, over 60-something% is saying that we are measuring the same thing, expecting different results, expecting some insights, and we're not getting it. So my point is, start moving towards customer surveys that are face-to-face, engaging your customers, really understand where those pain points are, understanding where the friction is, understanding where the failure demand is, and really invest in your CX, because that's the way you're going to get some true results, improvements out of that. All right, so how has your human-to-human customer service model evolved in the last 12 months? It is no surprise that with the introduction of AI, all of those, MJ's appeared, all of those simplistic tasks have been automated, right? So all of those password resets, the change of addresses, all those intents that you would have to go, you know what? I'm getting a bit of a breather. I feel like I'm in idle time. I've got some really simple intents to do. Now all of those are taken away, and we're seeing that agents are starting to take more complex tasks, more white glove service is expected from our customers. So therefore, the environment is becoming a lot more stressful for our agents as well, right? And the resources that they're needing to do their job are more apparent this day and age. And we heard a lot about KMS that I'll touch on. So the key improvement areas and the tools that they're looking at in focusing to improve their CX in results. So we touched on KMS previously in the other presenters. I know Adrian said at the very start that 3% of organisations have data readiness, right? So how can we build on anything to improve our CX of automation and AI if it's built on sand? So what we're saying is AI, we do understand, needs to have a trusted foundation of knowledge, and we can see the correlation here of the importance now, people resonating that I can't bring in AI until my data readiness is there. If my data readiness is there, I need a KMS platform. So good to see that correlation there. No surprises to see L&D. Obviously, L&D will support any improvements that we're wanting to introduce with CX. Voice of the Customer program, really great to see this, right? So if you're not already doing it now, please think about those, see how you can get them within the budgets as to how you can engage your customers remotely or face-to-face, and digital personalisation. All right, so the channels of customer, the highest of customer satisfaction. We understand that voice is still king. There's no surprises here that voice is still resonating as a top with our top experiences. We can go back and forth. And going by my experience that I had at the last week, that would have been a lot easier to have those conversations if they'd, answered the calls. I didn't give you my other example of a phone call that I tried to book some flights. I couldn't book any flights because there was a caching issue on one of the flights airline websites. I didn't realise there was a caching issue. It just would not allow me to log in. It wouldn't allow me to log in as a guest. So I reached out to one of my friends who actually works for the airlines and said, hey, I can't get in. And she said, oh, we've got a caching issue. So again, I got through. I couldn't have got through for being a phone call, being an airline. So I again, missed the opportunity there. So, and the next one is synchronous channels. And no surprises here of asynchronous channels. So no one's really going towards email and the like, but I would expect this number to start increasing with Dan's insights about SMS increasing to 33% or 36%. I do expect to see some asynchronous happiness within that channel. All right, so how can we improve your customer experience at Panviva? So my name is Nadine Power. I am the Senior Product Manager at Panviva, and Panviva is a knowledge management platform. It is a purpose-built platform, and it is your single source of data. So we think about if agents wanting to find knowledge, they go to one single source of governed data, and AI, anyone introducing AI, it also needs to understand what your single source of truth is to ensure that there is no hallucination, and it can find the information when it needs to. So there's a bit of a brag board there, and there's a QR code. So please reach out to myself, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be around to answer any questions about Panviva. All right, so let's wrap up the customer experience chapter. So CX is still measured by the top KPIs, but are those KPIs meaningful? So I did bang on about that a lot, about CSAT, NPS, QA, and FCR. Are they really giving you the insights that are actionable for you to ensure that you can understand where your customer experience pain points are? The industry is listening to pain points reactively and not proactively. So I touched on a lot about the complaints. 80-something% is looking at complaints, and the focus groups are around 20 and 30%. So again, how can we really get on the front foot before these issues arrive? And the last thing is the main CX improvement focus is KMS, with complexity on the rise, agents needing to be able to find their single source of truth. Obviously, the need to ensure that our customers are getting the right answers to ensure that they don't call back as well. And obviously with the rise of AI and automation, we understand that the foundation is key to ensuring that that is successful for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nadine. Okay, some questions from the audience. By what metrics do you measure customer effort? For example, time spent, number of interactions, etc.
Yeah, sure. So a customer effort, a lot of the times it is actually a survey, to be honest. So there'll be how hard was it to interact with us today. So one of the things why that is still insightful is if you can look at the type of intent that it was. So in my example, the intent was I'm wanting to change my billing from annual to monthly. I would have gone customer effort score 10 out of 10 because it was just too hard for me, and then therefore that's high effort, and you drill down into that and then do the journey map from there.
Regarding the data used to understand CX pain points, what about post-churn surveys, or is this taboo as the customer has already left and may not provide valid feedback on their experience?
Yeah, again, it's kind of a moot point. If you understand where your customer journeys are and where they're broken, where the friction is, you can stop that from happening. So you'd rather not that from happening, but by all means, it's still another point in time in data.
If simple reactive measures like CSAT and GOS are not holistically capturing customer experience and sentiment, what singular measure is the most valuable?
Yeah, good question.
Pick one.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on if you're a monopoly, an oligopoly, or a competitive market. So if you're in a monopoly, you've got the advantage of people aren't going to leave you. So the insights of an oligopoly as well is very different versus a competitive market. So I would say your retention rate.
Retention rate. Do you think voice is only king because organisations are not prioritising the development of digital channels?
No, I don't. I live around, I'm a local Melbourne, I live around the corner from Chadstone, and if we think about, we are humans, and online shopping came, I don't know how many decades ago, and everyone's like, what's going to happen to shop fronts? Chadstone is the biggest beast it has ever been. Anything you want to buy at Chadstone, you can buy online, but we like to still interact with people and go in and touch and feel, and we are humans. So I think voice is going to be king for a very long time.
And we'll finish with this one from Jordan. As human agents take on complex tasks, we can support them through effective knowledge management and learning and development. However, what skills and capabilities will our workforce need to develop to remain effective in the future?
Yeah, good question. I think the emotive soft skills, emotional skills will assist that. I think those that are coming with high complex calls are generally quite sensitive as well, and we need to have really good interpersonal skills as well. So the soft skills are back on the table.
They are. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Nadine from
Thank you.
Panviva.